What if the scariest thing in your life isn't rejection, isn't failure, isn't even death? What if the real terror is something far more intimate, something that lives right under your skin, something only you can see? What if the most terrifying thing is you, not the you the world sees, not the polished, performing you, but the one that stares back in silence when everything else is turned off? Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a moment, late at night, early in the morning, when something inside whispered, "This isn't me"? You brush it off, you scroll, you tell yourself, it's just a phase. But deep down, you know exactly who you are. And that is what terrifies you. Nearly 2 centuries ago, a philosopher named Søren Kierkegaard put a name to this fear. Not the fear of death, but the fear of truly living. He believed that the greatest task of a human being is not survival, not success, not happiness, but to become oneself. And that is the rarest, most terrifying act in the world. Why? Because the moment you see the truth of who you are, you lose every excuse. You can't unknow it. You can't blame your parents. You can't hide behind your job, your trauma, your feed. You're no longer a victim. You become responsible. And responsibility, real existential responsibility, can feel like standing on the edge of a cliff with no one to catch you if you jump. So we don't jump. We perform. We play roles. We scroll through lives that aren't ours, trying to remember who we're supposed to be. Kierkegaard said we do this not because we're weak, but because we're in despair. Not the loud kind, not weeping on the floor, but a quieter kind. The despair of being someone you're not. You take the job that keeps you safe. You nod at parties when you want to scream. You curate your smile, and little by little, you forget who you ever were. Let me give you an example. Imagine a man in his 30s. He's married, stable job, pays his taxes, good on paper. But every day, he puts on a mask. He laughs when he doesn't feel joy. He agrees when something deep in him says no. At night, he stays awake, scrolling, silently whispering, "I don't know how I ended up here." He's not depressed. He's not broken. He's just hollow. That's the despair Kierkegaard was talking about. And here's where it gets worse. You can live your whole life like that. You can succeed, be praised, admired even, and yet betray yourself completely. Kierkegaard called this the sickness unto death. Not a physical death, but a spiritual erosion, the slow loss of what made you, you. Now here's where the philosophy goes deeper. Kierkegaard believed we go through 3 stages on the path to becoming ourselves. 1. The aesthetic stage. You chase pleasure, avoid pain. You distract yourself endlessly. Life becomes an Instagram story, beautiful, empty, and gone in 24 hours. 2. The ethical stage. You start to take responsibility. You ask, what kind of person do I want to be? You choose values, integrity, even if it costs you comfort. 3. The religious stage. Not about church or dogma, but about surrender, a leap into the unknown. You risk it all, your image, your safety, to live truthfully. Even if no one understands. Even if you're afraid. To Kierkegaard, becoming yourself isn't about self-care or living your truth. It's not a brand. It's a burden. It's a cross. It's freedom. And it hurts. But here's the twist. Fear isn't the enemy. Kierkegaard said, real fear shows up when you're closest to your potential, when the life you could live is right in front of you. But there's a catch. It demands something first. It asks you to let go of safety, of certainty, of the life that's killing you softly. So I want to ask you something. What are you afraid would happen if you stopped pretending? What would break if you stopped saying yes to everything? Who would leave? Who would stay? Sit with that. For just a second, really, pause this video and ask yourself, what lie have I been living? You don't have to burn your life down. You don't have to scream or move to Iceland or shave your head. Becoming yourself often begins with something quiet. It begins when you stop laughing at the joke that insults your soul. When you pause before replying. When you whisper, "That's not me." Most people never take that path. Not because they're evil, but because they're terrified of what it will cost. And you know what? They're not wrong. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you certainty. It may cost you relationships that no longer fit. But what you gain is you, and that's the one person worth becoming. The road is long, but it's yours. And maybe, just maybe, you've already started.